So if you're like me and you have joined quite a few online D&D and role-playing groups, you'll notice that quite often new players or people new to the groups or the community tend to ask, what is your number one tip for new GMs or DMs? Or what's the number one piece of advice that you got out or got when starting out? Or what's the one thing you wish you knew back in the day? For me, it comes down to a pretty basic thing, which is agency. Um, you have agency over your world, your NPCs. The players have agency over their characters. Now, this line can be very black and white, can be very clear. And I know that in earlier editions, and some old school vets might expect the GM to do a lot more of the narrative, and they just want to describe what they do, and the GM describes the results and narrates it out. A lot of beginner groups start out that way these days as well, I've noticed, because there's a level of confidence that needs to come from a new player. With older players, however, more experienced players, they probably want to flex that muscle a little more, and I highly encourage them to. You'll notice in my live stream that one of my characters has got an orphanage and is introducing NPCs that I haven't written about, that I know nothing about, and it's so much fun to have him just suddenly talk to someone that I have no idea exists and go, this is their voice, this is them. It's so much fun, and I really enjoy it. And it also takes a huge load off you as a GM because there's a creative engine that's coming to you and fueling the campaign apart from your own, repertoire of creativity. So lean into it. Enjoy the fact that that some players are going to want more agency, other players are going to relinquish a lot of agency and would rather just be told what to do. I've definitely got players who still, after many sessions, don't necessarily fully grasp their character sheets, and they still ask for advice on what they think is the best thing to do. I will always give the least guidance possible because, firstly, I don't want to tell anyone how to run their characters. And secondly, I want that person to feel the consequences of their choices, whether it's good or bad. And then that way they're actually going to understand and learn and progress as players rather than just have me tell them what to do, because then we may as well be doing a play and just acting things out. So there's a fine line. Sometimes that line is very clear and obvious. Sometimes it's very smudged and worn out. Find where it is for each player, not necessarily each group, because I think you need to get a little bit more specific when it comes down to agency. And I'll just wrap things up by saying with agency also comes consent. They kind of come hand in hand. So if you do have more agency over the character, you need to understand that just because you can describe what that player character doesn't mean the player is going to be comfortable all the time with the behavior that you want them to take, if that makes sense. So don't lead them into situations that you haven't already discussed with that player character. Don't tell them how they react. Don't lead them astray. Um, and I think it's pretty obvious the way that the community is these days that consent needs to be highly addressed. Have a good session zero, set expectations, understand what themes are suitable and are not suitable. That's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.